for the running for today, for the sprints for today, it's kind of breathing the way I feel I need to, and it's probably some over breathing going on for sure. I'll have to basically examine a bunch of stuff after I get over the fact that I'm so new to this. So I'm thinking 2-3 months down the road, I'll have to adhere more and more to some protocols that more advanced runners do. Not advanced, but more advanced than where I'm at now. So for now, it's just like, hey, just go run. Let all the doubt and misconceptions and stuff of yourself, all those things kind of slide away and fly away. You're out there doing it. You're out there putting in the work every day. And be honest with yourself. Could you reasonably do a little more than what you're doing? Over time, can you continue to improve? And in that thought process, relax yourself a little bit and understand that it's going to be very difficult, next to impossible, to change everything overnight, right? So you change little things, one thing at a time. If you've been following my journey from weighing 330 pounds, my journey downward in body weight started with a ketogenic diet, which luckily for me, I was already familiar with from when I was younger. So that wasn't really new. And it started with walking. Walking was new. So walking actually took me some time to get used to. And I started to walk and walk and walk and started to walk some more. It was very hard to walk in the beginning. Then I went from walking to jogging. Jogged a little bit. Jogged a few hundred meters, a few hundred yards. Then started jogging 400 yards, 500 yards. And then over time, those yards started to turn into miles and miles and miles and miles. And then started running some marathons. Half marathon, 5Ks, 10Ks, full marathon. And now I'm doing some sprints. Realistically, I can only do 1 or 2 more of those. That's all you got sometimes when you're working on this kind of running. So this next one, I'm gonna try to kick it in and just sort of continue onward. Get to a certain speed, try to maintain and hold the speed a bit. I feel a little like off balance, a little scared too, to tell you the truth, because like, I mean, this is pretty like tame. There's really nothing going on, but like every once in a while there'll be like a weird dip. Well, there's a couple things going on the ground that I'm looking at them, I'm anticipating them, because to make sure they're running smoothly, right? I don't want to wipe out or anything, so keeping all that in check. Those guys on some e-bikes, man, outside. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. Somebody be like, oh, it's got an engine. So what? That's cool. It's got an engine. Gets you outside. It's got a little motor. Helps propel you up the hills a little bit. But you can go with the engine too, Highly recommended. Just whatever you got to do to get outside. Working out is only halfway even about working out. It's about all the little things that happen to go and do a workout. And that's why having a treadmill in your garage doesn't really work that well. Because that's not what working out is about. Working out is about a little extra effort. And that little extra that you have to put on something to dress yourself, to go somewhere, have the right clothes on, to change, and to just literally just go to a gym or go to a track. So if you're just walking out your front door and you're going on a jog, That's cool. That's great. You're getting outside, but still challenge you to make it harder, make it different here and there. Some people like to work out at home, and that's cool. But again, I still want to challenge you to do your best to get outside. Get outside, and get outside some more. But I want you to think about this for a moment before I do this next run. How often is your 60, 70, 80-year-old mom or grandmother or grandfather getting outside? Maybe with the exception with a few that like garden and stuff, or that have some hobbies that might be outside, like golf, tennis, whatever it might be. The rest of the population is just not getting outside. They just get sicker and sicker and weaker and fatter. And it's just brutal to see. So encourage people to get outside. Get your butts outside. Felt incredible. Feels amazing to go fast, regardless of what my fast is versus your fast or versus anybody else's fast. But it feels incredible to move myself through space as fast as I can. And I'd like to encourage a lot of you to do it. If you're a bigger guy, start low and slow and start with a hill. Get on a hill and just go like this. Ready? Maybe even get these WEC propulsors for Christmas. Your walk is here. Your walk is here. Mess around with the head over foot. Get these going like this. Get your body going in sync with these guys. And I want to see you do this. Cheat a bunch. Have Santa get you some $300 Nikes, Nike Alpha Flies to bounce you forward. Get on a hill. Get some WEC propulsors. Look, I'll show you again. It looks like this. We're walking. However you want to mess with these. Have fun with it. Right? And now just turn it into here. Lean forward a tiny bit. The only rule I have for you, it's got to be faster than your normal walk. So you walk this speed, but when you jog, it's got to be just a tiny bit faster. These will help you to jog. Because jogging is repeatedly just bouncing yourself off the ground. It's a lot of energy. Not so much forward, and not so much backward. It's a lot of energy downward. You hear a lot of people talk about driving, boom, driving downward. So this is driving downward, boom. If I'm gonna jump off of here, I'm gonna land, boom, down, right? I'm gonna catch myself. You go to jump, boom, you catch yourself, right? This catch yourself. Catch. You can even do it on the downhill. You're walking, just go easy. I know, you're thinking, oh, my knees. Well, just lean it back a little bit. Get a little stiff if you need to, it's okay. You can loosen up at some other time. You can work on this. But catch. You'll get it over time. I don't even have it. I'm not even there yet. I'm working on it. Oh my God, he's been with SpongeBob SquarePants the entire time. It's Patrick Star. How do you not love Patrick Star? Remember the episode of SpongeBob where he goes, "Look, SpongeBob, inflatable pants." he just pulls a cord on his trunks and then he like flips upside down. And SpongeBob just looks at him like, and then there's no more conversation about it or whatever. It's just totally random. But it's my lifetime goal to make some inflatable pants, so maybe I will make some at some point. Anyway, I'm going to do this sprint, so I'm going to hand the microphone over. Yeah, I did it. I talk a lot about being made of something different. Well, how do you become that? How do you become a little different? And notice I didn't say better. It's not necessarily better. It's just you're choosing a different route. Choosing a different path. A different path. Maybe blazing your own trail or blazing a trail that you thought was neat from somebody else, which is totally fine. Just sort of copy and mimic people that you think have done some cool shit. Eventually you become your own thing anyway and your own person. But being made of something different means that you challenge yourself. It means that you're not afraid to look foolish. You're not afraid to stand up. You're not afraid to stand up for yourself. You're not afraid to stand up for other people. You're not afraid to make a fool of yourself. You're not so afraid of making mistakes that you're paralyzed by it. You have confidence. The confidence comes from the soil. We're only as good as our soil. Our cows are only as good as our soil. A lot of the things we have in this world, whether it's vegetables, fruit, cows, other things that come from the earth, they're only as good as our soil. So, if you came from a bad environment, you came from a bad thing, it makes sense that it might be a little harder for you to make changes. It might be harder for you to be made out of something different, because how can you become made out of something different when you're made up of what you're made up of? Well, you can do so through habit changes over time. Things aren't going to happen overnight, but they will happen one night. They will happen one night at a time, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, one bite at a time. How do we master this thing of nutrition or of diet? You do it with one bite at a time. You do it with one situation at a time. Just making the right choice and saying no to the bad choice. One of the things I love about fasting is fasting isn't much of a choice. One of the things I love about keto is keto isn't much of a choice. What's the choice? Well, we're not eating any carbs. It's like the choices are boxed in. And when you box in the choices, it's easier to stay within the framework of making good decisions. That's how it's worked for me over a long period of time. And I don't personally feel as if I'm some sort of badass or tough guy or anything like that. But I do feel amazing. I feel amazing every day. And I feel really fucking accomplished. And I know what it's like to feel incomplete, to not feel accomplished. I spent plenty of my life not being accomplished. And it wasn't until I really dug my heels in and I dug my foot into the ground and made a real concentrated effort at working hours and hours and hours on end at powerlifting. And I made a decision. Somewhere at some point, I drew a line in the sand and I stepped over it and said, I'm now on the other side. I'm now that guy. I'm willing to do anything and everything I can to be the best. And maybe, some people maybe pay it forward a little too much with I'm willing to die, I'm willing to lose my family. Hey, I'll be totally honest, I'm not willing to do any of that. However, there are sacrifices that I did make during my powerlifting career that may have compromised my health. So I could see how someone could think that or could lead them down that path, because I was a very unhealthy 330 pounds, but I was also lifting, had a lot of muscle on me and so on. So I made a lot of excuses to get as big as possible, but it was to follow my dream of being as strong as I could possibly be. And I think what helped me become made out of something different than most, even the people that did attack powerlifting and went after it with everything they had, I was working on being as strong as I could possibly be. I wasn't overly concerned with what he did, she did, or how they did it. I was concerned with how I was going to do it, how I was going to get it done. And then I did it. And if you want to be made out of something different, it's going to be critical that you become a material expert in something. So I'm not a big fan of school. I actually think that school in the United States needs to be completely reformed. And I think it's one of the things that keeps this country from truly being free is the way that our school is set up. It's illegal not to go to school, and then therefore you got to be like homeschooled. And there's a lot of shit I don't agree with. I think school goes on for way too long, way too many weeks. It goes on for way too many days. It goes on for way too many hours during the day, and it goes on for way too many years. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that people aren't made, it's a marvel that anyone's made out of something different after getting the shit beat out of them in school for so long. That is a long time. That is a long sentence. That's what I consider it to be, a sentence. And if you think about it, they feed the same food to our kids as they do our inmates. You start thinking about it that way, it starts to make you think some twisted thoughts. But to be made of something different, you're going to have to kind of climb out of that box and climb out of that conventional way of thinking. And you're going to have to start to really think for yourself. And you're going to have to start to think, how can I be somebody? How can I be something? You want to be somebody and be something? Learn. Learn a lot. Read, learn, listen. I'm not a big reader. I have trouble reading. It's difficult for me. So I do less reading and more listening. It turns out it made me a great listener. It turns out one of my biggest weaknesses, which was being kind of slow in school and having a hard time comprehending certain things at certain times in my life, turned out to be my biggest strength, because patience is one of the biggest virtues you can have as an owner of a company. Not always, but more often than not, being patient and being calm and having temperance and equanimity is going to pay huge dividends for you, the people around you, and the longevity, health of you, your family, and your company. Because if you don't have those things, it's going to be really easy to be angry on kind of a more day-to-day basis and more reactive. Anyway, if you made it something different, I want to encourage you. What is the thing that you know about? What is it? You know about health. You know about nutrition. You know about computers. You know a lot about shoes. You know a lot about feet. You know a lot about self-defense, boxing, jiu-jitsu. What do you know about? Turn that into a thing. You already love it. Dive in even harder. You're working at the local grocery store, packing bags, and you don't necessarily love that job, but it's paying you okay. You like the people you work with and so on, but you have this dream of doing something different. Well, keep studying, keep learning, and keep putting yourself through the paces. On top of that, though, here's the real kicker of the whole thing. Whether it is you want to be a writer, you want to be a director, you want to be a musician, you want to be whatever the hell it is that you want to be, an artist, any of these things that you want to be, a doctor, a lawyer, still, no matter how you slice it, strength is never a weakness, and weakness is never a strength. It is always going to be helpful for you to go in to strengthen your body. When you strengthen your body, you strengthen your mind. When you strengthen your body and your mind and people see that you're fit, they see that you're in shape, they take notice. What happens when you're at the airport and somebody starts sneezing and somebody's like, they keep doing that. What do? You get up and you try to move to another seat, or you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be a long flight if you're actually on the airplane already, right? It's because we know what a sick person sounds like. We know what a sick person looks like. You want me to follow you? You want me to follow you? And you're 60, 70, 80 pounds overweight? It's going to be harder for me to follow you. That might not be the best mindset, but it's going to be harder for me to follow you. If you had the same attributes and you showed up and you were a little bit more fit, I would be more apt to follow your direction. People notice it. People can talk about it whatever way they want to talk about it. They can try to be soft about it, and they can try to say they don't think that way. But a beautiful person is a beautiful person, and a beautiful body is a beautiful body. People recognize it. We know what health looks like, and we know we have an image in our head of what a leader looks like, right? Does a leader look a little bit more like Tom Brady or Tom Segura? Sorry, Tom Segura. See my point? Being fit, being athletic is really, really important. And no matter what it is you're trying to do or who it is that you're trying to be, it is always going to be important to be a little bit stronger. As you get older and as we age and as we head towards potentially being knocked off our feet and being bedridden for a little while with a disease or an operation or just an illness of some kind, it's always going to help us to be stronger going into that. And even for myself, we're starting to get into running 400s, starting to do these sprints. It proves it again. Strength is never a weakness, and weakness is never a strength. Going into this, going into all these things that I'm doing, it's easier for me to be more durable with it. It's easier for me to handle this amount of work, this amount of volume, mentally and physically. So if you want to be made out of something different, the only way to do it is to put the work in. You want to put the work in mentally, you want to put the work in physically. Because when you put the work in physically, there's nothing that you won't be able to handle mentally. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.